Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the segment on the 10th Hadith of Arba'in al-Nawawi. I will read a little bit of matan for you and the translation. An Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyiban ila akhir al-hadith rawahu Muslim. The translation is, on the authority of Abu Hurairah, who said, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, Verily, Allah the Exalted is pure and accepts only that which is pure. Allah has commanded the believers to do that which He has commanded the messengers. The Exalted has said, O messengers, eat of the good things and do right. And the Exalted also said, O believers, eat of the good things that we have provided for you. Then he, the Prophet, peace be upon him, mentioned a man who after a long journey is disheveled and dust-colored. The man stretches his hands out toward the sky and says, O Lord, Ya Rab, in the hadith. While his food is unlawful, his drink is unlawful, his clothing unlawful, and his nourishment is unlawful, how he is to be answered in such a state? Recorded by Muslim. Aw kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam. We have mentioned earlier as well the elegant sequencing of the hadith in this collection of Imam Nawawi. So if we look at the hadith that we covered in the 9th segment that talks about Prophet ﷺ is telling us that whatever I tell you to do, do that, and whatever I tell you to stay away from, leave that. So there is not much difference in the meanings of the two. Here, the thing which is pure, which is acceptable to Allah, actually are the things that Prophet ﷺ would order us to do. And the things that he has stopped us from doing must be the things that has some impurity in it. They are not pure, and these are the same things that are not acceptable to Allah. So you see there is a sequence. There is one can walk into the other hadith from the previous one. Now, what is pure? Pure, or in Arabic it is tayyib. Tayyib, when it with respect to Allah, it is pure, that he is away from anything which is impure or which is not good. So he likes the deeds or the things that is offered to him in the same state. That is the pure state. So if someone does a deed, and then in the deed altogether is very good, and then he does some little thing which is impure, which is bad, then it destroys the whole deed. For example, if I give you an example from the West, that many of the immigrants over there, they have businesses, like for example grocery stores. In the grocery stores, everything is halal, but for the sake of business, or they think that by this way their business will grow, because this is the demand of the people, they keep liquor in their store, or they keep a lotto machine in their store, or they serve the pork in their store. Overall, most of the things are halal, but by putting such things, they make this act. You see, we always say that every act of a Muslim, if it is done according to what Sharia or what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul tells us to do, it is ibadah, it is worship. So one does a business which is halal, and it is earning halal money for his family. This is ibadah, this is worship. But this act of worship is destroyed by such person who has added some impure thing in his business. So this is one example from the West. There can be many other. So Allah is pure and He accepts pure things. And then later in the Hadith, there are two ayahs from the Quran, they are mentioned, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that He is ordering the common Muslims to do things which He has ordered the messengers to do. That is, they were the best chosen people, selected people, and He has ordered them to do this thing. And He is ordering the Muslims to do the same things, that eat from the halal things that He has given you, but don't touch those which is not acceptable to Him or which are impure things. And we will go into the details when we will see the last part of the Hadith, which is very important. But before that, let me tell you that the scholars, when this phrase, that this such things is acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they say that it can have many meanings. It can imply many things. The first one, the first application is in this way. Allah is pleased with the deed, praises the one who performs it, tells the angels about the deed performed, and so forth. The second one is the deed which will be rewarded in hereafter. And the third one, the person has performed the legal obligation of enacting such a deed. Number 4, if the deed is not performed properly, Allah will not reward it. So these are 4 categories. This is according to a scholar of Islam, Ibn Rajab. But Sheikh Zarabozo, who is the author of this commentary, which we are mostly relying on, he says that here in this hadith, the first 2 are applicable. I will repeat those things. The first one is that Allah is pleased with that act, and He mentions it to His angels, and praises the person who performed that deed. And the second category is the one in which the person will be rewarded in the hereafter. So in this hadith, in the meaning of this hadith, these 2 are meant. That means Allah accept means the pure things, that means He will be pleased with it and He will reward it in the hereafter. So the phrase such as Allah does not accept the prayers or Allah does not accept the deeds should not be misunderstood as an excuse for not performing the obligatory deeds. See, if a person goes to a palm reader and because of that act of his, according to the hadith, his prayer is not acceptable for 40 days. But that does not give him an excuse that he should stop praying, because if he is going to do so, he will have a double dip. The first one is he is not performing an obligatory deed that Allah has told him to do, and he will be punished for that. And the second thing that he did by going to a palm reader and had his hand read by him. So he, instead of one, he's getting, as I said, double tip. He will be punished for 2 things. So it is not an excuse when it says that it is not acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is encouraging you to do good deeds rather than going towards impure and bad deeds which are not acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That doesn't mean that you don't do something which is obligatory based on this excuse. One of the most damaging aspect for a person's deed when he lives or relies upon money that is not lawful or pure. The food a person eats must be permissible. The money with which he buys his food must be permissible. The same message was given to all the messengers, so they would be purified in respect to their body and their spirit. So purify the physical being by consuming only pure things, and purify the spiritual being by doing good deeds. So follow the messenger and change your life. That is the theme of our talk. Charity from illegally earned money is not acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Ibn Abbas says about a person who has wrongfully acquired a lot of wealth, and then he made the Hajj and he freed the slaves and he gave in charity. So Ibn Abbas said about him, a filth cannot wipe off another filth. So it is not possible that one can accept some goodness out of the money that is earned in a wrongful way. Similarly, the food one eats, if it is not from the halal ways, if it is not from the halal money, then one should not expect the body that is grown out of such nourishment to do good things. So these are all the things that one has to be very careful. And you can look at some example. For example, a governor who is usurping the money of the people and illegally, unlawfully, just gaining some wealth for himself, and then he makes constructs a masjid, or prints a lot of numbers of copies of Quran. This is not something that will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in the first place, the money which is used for this good deed is coming from a haram source. So the source of money, the source of nourishment is very important. The kind of food that you are going to feed your children with, believe me, that's what is going to come out of them when they grow up. A true believer should not rely on others. This is the other aspect of the sustenance or the wealth that one earns, or the food that one earns for his family. That the best food is that one uses his hands and earns with that, rather than asking for help. So yadul uliya, which is on top, the hand which is on top is better than yadul sufla, the hand which is at the bottom, so which is receiving hand. So always the one who gives is praised, and he is rewarded, and he is in a better position than the one who is looking for help from others. There is a story from one of the sheikhs in the Central Asia. His name was Shaykh Balqi, the city of Balq. In that story, it says that one of his students, or person who was living with him, one day he told the sheikh that I want to go and look for some sustenance for myself, some earning, because in this area I am not finding good work for myself. So the sheikh says, okay, you go. And then the person left. And after a couple of days, he came back. And the sheikh asked, why did you come back? And then he gives the story that I went out, and on my first stay overnight, the place I stayed, I saw in the morning that there was a bird, and it looks like he was sick, and then he was not able to move even. Then another big bird came and somehow dropped some food for him, and then he ate it. So it gave me, I learned a lesson from there. And he said that Allah will provide for me wherever I am. So why I am leaving the sheikh and I'm going so far away? So the sheikh said, why did you not think about becoming that bird who feeds, rather than becoming a bird who is fed by the others? So there is a big lesson in this story. And as I said, the good food and which is praised by Allah is the one that one earns from his own hands, and then feeds his family and feeds the others and helps the other. All the things are very dear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, if we go towards the last part of the hadith, which has a very important message in it, it says, it talks about the dua. So let's see what are the conditions that make a dua acceptable, or it will be answered by Allah, and what are the things that make the dua ineffective or loses its effectiveness. There are certain things mentioned in the hadith with which we know that especially the people who have gone through certain hardships, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes closer to them and He answers to their call. Like it is mentioned that if a person is oppressed, then there is no screen between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the one who is oppressed, his call is answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no screen between him and Allah. So this is also a lesson for those who harm the people and who are actually the oppressors, that they should understand that if they are oppressing people or who are oppressing the the slaves of Allah, then Allah can listen to their call and it can destroy the oppressor, because Allah is the most powerful and He is listening to that oppressed person. Other attributes or other places, when somebody is sick, for example, or even it says that when somebody puts something in his pocket and he is looking for that and he forgot which pocket he put it, and he has gone through this little difficulty of finding that thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward him for that little difficulty. So any difficult times that one has gone through, he becomes closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he listens to him. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam here mentioned a traveler, but also a sick person. When he prays, or for example, a yatim or orphan, his dua or his prayer is acceptable because he has seen some hardship. He has lost his parents or his father. So here the traveler is mentioned. Traveler is also very special, and the attributes that are mentioned in this hadith, that his hair are messed up and then his color is like dirt. It looks like he's coming from a journey and gone through some hardships. So it is a state in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept his prayer. Travelers have some other special things for them. For example, if a traveler visits someone, he has a right to stay with him for three days. For travelers, the prayer is shortened. For travelers, the fasting of Ramadan is not obligatory. He can do it later. All these things, these are special privileges for the musafir, and even in one of the categories of the zakat that applies to the musafir or the traveler. So it is very, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really likes such person who has gone through some difficulty or hardship. For the dua also, his situation is very special. His dua will be answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stretches his hands out towards the sky. This is also a sign of humbleness, and we know from the sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that at occasions he raised his hands, and he raised his hands so much so that the clock on his shoulders, it fell down. So like at the time of Badr, it is reported that he raised his hands. So this is a sunnah that one can raise his one's hands and make the dua or prayer, supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a state of humbleness. What could be the other state of humbleness? For example, in the sujood, when somebody is prostrating, that is also a situation where one is very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is a very humble position. So it is also a position in which one should make prayer, and he is closer to Allah, and it will be accepted. So humbleness and looking for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the words mention, Ya Rab, Ya Rab, O Lord, O Lord. So you will see that a number of supplications in the Quran, they start from this attribute of Allah by the name Rabb. For example, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana, Rabbana faghfir lana zunubana wa kaffir anna sayyiatina, Rabbana afrigh alayna sabran wa sabbit aqdamana. And a number of them, a great number of them, they start from this name of Allah, Rabb. Rabb is what? Sustainer, the one who gives, who sustains. So this is recommended that Allah should be remembered with His attributes when you are making dua. There are other attributes of Allah that are also called in some other dua. For example, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum bi rahmatika nastaghith. You are calling the name of Hayy and Qayyum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and making a dua. But as I said, that this is the most commonly used attribute of Allah, O Lord, or Ya Rab, Ya Rab. And then one asks whatever he is asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asking a question. He is not saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not listen to his call, or he will not respond to his call, but he is asking this question, that how should he be answered in such a state when one's nourishment, his eating, his drinking, everything is from haram. So as in the beginning of the hadith, it says that Allah is only pure, accepts only pure thing because He is pure. So a dua which is not pure, which is coming from a body which has nourishment and which has grown from haram, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reply to his call? That is a question. Ibn Daqiq, one of the scholars of Islam, he says that Allah may even still respond to his call. He is merciful and we live off of his mercy. Otherwise it is very difficult. As I said, that he is so merciful that he is even rewarding for something that we put somewhere and we are not able to find. So such things, because of that great rahmah or great mercy, we survive and we accept his forgiveness in the hereafter as well. So he's saying that he may still answer it, but there is a question here, that if a person who is doing a lot of haram and his nourishment and all these things are from haram, and his calls are still being responded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it should be a matter of concern for him that he is being replied, his call is being replied by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he himself is not responding to the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is saying don't do these things, he is doing those things. Even then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is responding to his call. So this should be something that one should think about when making a dua, and when his dua is acceptable, even with such a state, he should think about his deeds and correct himself. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين والمؤمنات.